Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Thanksgiving. So, I just watched this movie this morning, did a little matinee. It just worked out where this movie just came out. I had the day off today, so your boy had to go see this. And first things first, I'm going to give you all my overall thoughts. And let me tell you what, this movie rocked. I was a huge fan of this movie. Like, I watched this with my brother. He's not like a big horror fan, but I dragged him along with me because he had the day off too. And like, right when we got out of the theater, I'm like, dude, did you like this? I'm like, this was awesome. I'm like, this movie was really, really, really good. This was like such like a solid modern horror movie, such a solid modern slasher movie. Like this movie, I had high expectations for, but it honestly exceeded my expectations. Because nowadays, like I might sound like a old head or like a hater, but nowadays I feel like slasher movies and horror movies are hit or miss. Yes, there's still a lot of really good ones, but a lot of like modern horror movies, they're just like whatever, or they suck. Which I guess, I mean, there's been sucky horror movies throughout history, so I guess, it's always been like that. But, you know, I don't get excited about like a lot of newer horror movies. I'm more into like, it's kind of the 80s stuff, 90s stuff, 2000s, whatever. Like, I'm not into like the super new stuff all the time, but I was super excited to see this, and I was just so ecstatic when I came out of the theater. I absolutely loved this movie. Yeah, I was so happy. I was like, yes sir. I'm gonna get into all the elements, but it hit pretty much all the slasher marks. Like this was just a solid holiday. This is like a solid holiday slasher. I mean, this is like, it's such a rewatchable movie. This might become a Thanksgiving staple. Who knows? I think it definitely has the potential to do that. But anyways, before I ramble on too much about how much I like this movie, I'm gonna get into the plot summary. I might just be like high off the fact that I just saw it in the theater, this morning. So like, maybe if I watched it again, I wouldn't be that blown away. I think I would still think it's good, but maybe since like I just had that like theater experience, I'm just like all jacked up and like I'm just like I got it going on. I'm just like amped up, But yeah, maybe if I watched it again, I wouldn't be like so blown away, but I think I would still really, really like it. But anyways, I'm rambling again. I'm gonna get into a little plot summary here. So, I was gonna mention this earlier, but like I've said 50 times already, I was just kind of rambling. In this review, and in other reviews that I do, I go into spoilers and I don't really care. In this review, just so you all know, I'm going to not give any major spoilers since this is a very new movie. I don't want to spoiler any big plot points. So yeah, I'm going to get into some stuff, but I'm going to be pretty vague with it, and I'm not going to get into any major spoilers. So give you all real quick basic plot summary. So the movie opens up and it's Black Friday. It's a crazy scene. There's like these almost like barricades. People are just going nuts, and one thing leads to another, and these people, they're just in a frenzy they want to get this like free toaster oven, and they want to buy up all these deals. So, one thing leads to another, and pretty much like a riot breaks out, and a lot of people are accidentally killed. It's funny too because people just like continue their shopping. Like, people will clearly see that people are being killed, but they're continuing their shopping, which I thought was really fun because you always hear these stories of like how crazy Black Friday gets, and you know, grandmas are fighting each other, beating each other up for like a toaster oven, and this definitely had that feel. Like it was so over the top and funny, and you know, people of course don't get that crazy on Black Friday, but I like how they kind of played on that like people get crazy on Black Friday. But anyways, yeah, this pretty much like riot unintentionally breaks out, and people are accidentally killed on Black Friday at this store. And then yeah, so that's the opening, and then it fast forwards to a year later, and all of the people who were involved in that you know, in that Black Friday riot. That's just what I'm gonna call it. It's not really a riot, but kind of. So that's the best word I can think of to like categorize it. So yeah, all the people that were involved in that Black Friday debacle, they're starting to get picked off by a gentleman in a pilgrim mask. So yeah, that is the basic plot summary. Now I'm gonna get into the actual meat of the review here, get into just some random stuff, which I always do. So the first thing that I'm gonna get into is something that I liked, and that's how like modern technology was utilized in this movie. So here's the deal with here's the deal. I sound like Jerry Seinfeld or something. What's the deal? What's the deal with raincoats? You know, there's what is it? Raining or something? I don't know what the heck I'm going on about. But anyways, here's the deal with modern technology in modern slasher movies. It can hinder a movie a lot of the times because, you know, if you're watching an 80s slasher movie, they if there's not like a house phone, if the phone lines are down, it's like there's no way to contact anybody. Nowadays, you can just be like, well, why don't you got a smartphone? Why don't you just call the cops? Why don't you call for help? You know, why don't you live stream it, or I don't know what the heck. But it's like a lot of the times technology can hinder a movie. Like just something that I was thinking of when I was like writing my notes for this review was, you know, the 2018 Halloween movie, where they kind of had to like write around the fact of, you know, the group of kids having cell phones. Like the main girl has her cell phone, like her boyfriend throws her cell phone in the punch bowl, so it's like, okay, this makes sense. Now she cannot call for help. This movie, it like utilized smartphones. It utilized technology in a really creative way, and it really added to the story. And the killer actually was the main person who utilized technology. He kind of used technology to toy with his victims, and he was kind of like showcasing stuff, like, you know, he was like toying with his victims, sending them pictures at first, and then, you know, later on he's like live streaming events. And you know, there's this thing earlier in the movie where, you know, there's like a YouTube video of the events, and you know, it gets out there and everyone, you know, sees this tragedy that took place. So I really liked how they, you know, used technology in a creative way, because you can't get around it. It's like, you know, if the movie is set in present day, like, you know, that's the technology nowadays. So instead of trying to like write around it and make some excuse for like why they can't use their phones to call for help, phones were used as like a tool. Like the killer was using the phones, like the phones were used in a creative way. And I liked how the killer toyed with his victims with the phones. I might not be doing the best job of describing it, but if you watch the movie, I think most people will like it as well. It was a really creative use of technology. I like the killer in this was very smart. I really liked the killer. All right, moving on. I mean, it's a slasher movie, so you already know we got to get into the kills. And let me tell you what, the kills in this movie were fantastic. All right, you had a good variety of kills. You had some creative kills. You had some good gore, and okay, the movie's called Thanksgiving. It's a holiday slasher movie, so you already know a lot of the kills were Thanksgiving centric. The killers using Thanksgiving utensils as weapons, and people are getting killed in Thanksgiving centric ways. So yeah, the kills in this movie were top notch. Pretty much everything was practical. I could be wrong, but I feel like I did see quite a little bit of CGI with some of the kills, but it didn't really like hinder the experience for me. Most of it was practical. The kills looked good. Nowadays they even if stuff is mostly practical, they use a little bit of CGI to like touch stuff up. That's just, it is what it is nowadays. That's that's what filmmakers do. So yeah, I feel like there was like a little CGI with the kills, but nothing like egregious. Nothing where you're like, not like some 2002 Sci-Fi Channel stuff, which I'm not hating. I'm a big fan of like Sci-Fi Channel movies from the 2000s, but you know what I mean. You get the picture. And yeah, without getting into major spoilers, I don't want to get into too many kills or too many specifics, but a couple kills. I liked so many kills that it's hard to narrow it down, but there was a couple that I liked that I want to point out here. So there was this decapitation, and it was done in kind of like a tactical style. I really liked that. And then there was this really good neck snap. Okay, so here's the deal. A lot of times in slasher movies, when someone gets their neck snapped, the killer just barely moves their neck. Like, the killer will just grab their neck, kind of crank it a couple inches, and it just looks so fake. And the audience is like, dude, we know you didn't just snap his neck. You're doing like a chiropractor move. Like, you just gave this fool an adjustment. Like, there's no way you killed this individual with that little, wimpy neck snap. Like, come on. Like, get out of my face with that. This movie has one of the craziest neck snaps I have ever seen. It's top notch. Like, when I got out of the theater, I was talking to my brother. I'm like, yo, how about that neck snap, dude? That was the bees effing knees, my dude. So yeah, have to give a shout out to that neck snap. It was great. It was magical. It got me going. It really got me in the holiday mood. So, I gave you all my little opinion of the kills. Now I'm gonna get into some funny moments. And with that being said, this movie is pretty much it has like a pretty much like serious and straightforward tone throughout, which I liked, but there were some fun moments, some kind of wacky characters, and there was some like funny one-liners towards the end, but I'm gonna get into that later. So the main group of kids that we follow, like the majority of the guys in the group, it's just like a group of like these high school guys and girls, and the majority of the guys in the group are like they're like athletes, they're like jocks. I thought it was hilarious. That, this is like a newer movie. This came out, like yesterday or today, and the jock in this, he has this nerd do his homework for him. I'm like, yes, let's go. I'm like, it's 2023 and we still have nerds doing homework for jocks and movies. I'm like, that's what I want to see. That's what I paid my money to see. I'm like, yes, sir. I love that stuff. I think that's always the funniest thing. Like just that like trope or cliche of like the jock getting the nerd to do their homework. I love it. That's what I want to see in a movie. That's what I look for, like that completes me. So that was awesome. There's this funny individual. I think he's like a little bit older. I think he might have already graduated because, like I said, the main group of kids, they're all high schoolers. This guy, he's kind of like a side character. I think he already graduated. He's like a little bit older, but his dad owns a gun store, and he eventually like hooks the characters up with guns and stuff. But he's funny. He like drives to the high school, and he's trying to like sell minors alcohol, and he has all these parties at his house where he charges minors like an arm and a leg to come in and drink, and you get to like see inside the party, and there's all these kids just like vomiting, it like projectile vomiting everywhere, and there's these kids in this room, they're all like drugged out, they must be on like psychedelics or something. Like that character was so funny, he was so wacky, and that whole sequence of the party was really fun. And it was funny because there was this like kid that like came to his house, and they like got into it because the kid didn't know who Black Sabbath was, and then he calls the kid a cocksucker and kicks him out. So yeah, that guy rocked. There's this funny moment with this kid, and like they're all giving like all like the main kids, they're giving speeches, like Thanksgiving related speeches in class, and there's this funny kid that's like trying to act all sensitive to get the ladies, and like the girls are just totally like head over heels for him, and then he just like acts like he's being nonchalant, but this fool's got like an 8-pack or 10-pack, like he had the most shredded abs I've ever seen in my life, and he's just like casually flexing in class. That was super funny. Yeah, and you know, I'm gonna jump into, now that I'm talking about funny moments, I'm gonna jump into my last point. So, well, my last couple points, but one of my last points kind of ties into the comedy kind of tangent I was going on. But yeah, basically, like I said, the movie is pretty straightforward. It's pretty serious throughout, except for a couple funny moments, which you need to like kind of ease the tension. But the killer is never like he's never played for jokes. This movie, it's not really like a cheesy horror movie. It's because I feel like you can't get away with like modern horror movies. They don't really have that cheese factor, which is cool. Like I still like the cheese factor in some of the older slasher movies, but you know, the nowadays movies just don't really have that as much. So yeah, the killer is basically, he's not played for laughs. He's pretty straightforward. He's menacing. He's scary. But towards the end of the film, he does actually give like a couple Thanksgiving related one-liners. They're like, the way they're delivered though, they're like dark and sinister, and it's not played for laughs. It's not supposed to be campy or cheesy, but I like that. I always like, if you have a speaking killer, I like the kind of clever, fun one-liners. So it was cool that the killer did spout some holiday themed one-liners later on, and like I said, it wasn't stupid, it wasn't silly, it didn't make the movie cheesy. Like the killer was still super menacing and super scary when he said those lines. But I enjoy a good one-liner, especially from a slasher killer, so I really like that. And basically the last thing that I want to talk about, and kind of a good thing to end on, is, you know, this movie, it's called Thanksgiving. It's supposed to be a holiday film, and it absolutely delivers, because there's so many instances where you have a Christmas movie, you have a movie for whatever holiday, and there's like a couple scenes that mention the holiday, but it doesn't feel like the holiday. There's not really a lot of that, I don't want to say atmosphere, what am I going to say? Like, they just don't have that holiday feel. This movie has the holiday feel in spades. You have so many, like, you know, iconic American traditions, like iconic American Thanksgiving traditions. You got, you know, Black Friday is a big focal point. You know, like Thanksgiving parade. That's you know, that's a classic American tradition. The Thanksgiving parade. You have so many classic Thanksgiving elements. Like the movie, it it delivers. It's a holiday movie that has so much to do with the holiday. The whole movie feels like the holiday, revolves around the holiday. Um, I mean, it totally delivers. It's a fantastic holiday film. And, you know, since I'm talking about, you know, just the overall film, and that was the last main point that I had to talk about, I'm going to get into my recommendation here, and then I'm going to head out. So, I mean, from what you've heard so far, I'm clearly a big fan of this movie. Um, I would say, you know, if you're watching this video, like, you know, within a couple days of it coming out or something, and you were kind of on the fence about seeing this movie, I would say go out and watch it. If you're a horror fan, this is a must watch. I absolutely loved it. You know, go out and support this movie. I'm a huge Eli Roth fan. I mean, I haven't seen a ton of his stuff. Like the main movies of his that I've seen are Cabin Fever, which that's probably my favorite Eli Roth movie. Cabin Fever is a classic. And then the first two Hostel movies, especially the first Hostel movie, I absolutely love. So I'm a huge Eli Roth fan. The man has still got it. Coming back with another classic. Like, this is probably going to be a classic. I feel like this could be like an annual watch. Add this to the list of Thanksgiving movies every year. You know, this could definitely be a classic. This is a great annual watch. Go out, support the boy Eli Roth, support this movie. I would say, you know, if you can, if you have the ability to, if you have the free time and the extra money, go out and watch this in the theater. Yeah, and support a good movie. So yeah, 10 out of 10 would absolutely recommend. This movie absolutely rocks. So yeah, now that I've given you all my recommendation, you know, I don't really have anything else to say, so I'm gonna head out here. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.